The warmest of greetings to you, and welcome to Happily Ever Teaching. This is the podcast to help you enthrall your learners in every subject under the sun using the best teaching method known to science, storytelling. To do this, we feature special guest educators who are passionately keen for your children to become amazing and successful human beings. I am storyteller Chip Cahoon, and with me today is...
Hi, I'm Rob. I teach a Key Stage 2 class just outside Milton Keynes, and I've worked throughout all the Key Stages.
Hi, I'm Helen. I also teach just outside Milton Keynes, and I'm currently teaching reception in Year 1.
And today we are planning lessons in history and geography, with a witty folktale found all around the world, adapted by us to be set in medieval England. You can listen to the story by downloading our sister podcast, Fables and Fairy Tales, or search our website, epictales.co.uk, for The Dragon's Heart. There you'll find a video of me telling the story that you can share with your children. And if you sign up as an Epic Educator, you'll also get a copy as an ebook or paperback illustrated by the magnificent Maria Coelho, as well as the full audiobook for you to download at any time. There are even some tips for telling the story yourself, and a whole heap of resources to go with the lesson ideas we're about to discuss, including any extra lesson ideas that we don't have time to fit into this podcast. Right now, though, let's continue our discussion with Helen and Rob. And, well, we've already had a bit of history looking at the sort of dragons in literature, and there's been some geography as well. So there's more for us to mine, is there, Helen, from the historical side for ages 4 to 7?
Oh, when it comes to knights and castles and dragons and things, there's so much history to cover. So I've picked out the theme of being a knight for my history, and something that I've done a few times with children because it's fantastic activity to do is to look at the idea of a coat of arms, because children love this. They just love the idea of a knight with a shield and all of this. And so you get to have a look at the purpose of having the coat of arms, but also the purpose of the different colours and symbols that were on the coat of arms. So all the different colours meant something, as well as the animals. Animals in, I'm not sure how to say this word, heraldry.
Heraldry.
Is that the word? In heraldry, all have different meanings. And it's a lovely activity to do with the children, to look at these different animals and what they symbolise. And for the younger children, I do simplify it quite a lot, because when you look it up, each animal has like loads of different meanings and things. So I usually sort of simplify it down a little bit. As your kind of modelling activity, you could think about what coat of arms we're going to give Sir Philadred. I mean, does it change? Does he need one coat of arms at the start of the story and maybe a different one at the end? Because actually his characteristics change quite a lot.
Yeah.
And so you could do that as the exploratory side of the lesson, of the activity. And then, of course, the children then get to think about their own coat of arms and design their own coat of arms. And it's a great way, it's kind of a PSHE link, because it's a great way to think about the kind of children they are and that they want to be. If we're going to be the best knight we can be, what kind of knight do you want to be? So they might not feel that they're a particularly brave person, but maybe that's what they want to be. So they'll put lions on their coats of arms.
So would you do the same sort of thing with them that you've got them to do with Sir Philadred, and have sort of like a beginning coat of arms and a destination coat of arms?
I hadn't thought of that, but you probably could. You could probably do one for who you are and one for what kind of knight you want to be. And that almost links back to our PSHE discussions about the different characters in this story and who our role models are and who we want to be like. And then once the children have designed their coats of arms, they could choose one and then create it, out of cardboard with paint. And I think I've done this before, where I've cut out the shield shape for the children at my age range. And then I use masking tape to do the pattern. They might have a cross, or they might have it divided into quarters. And then they've painted it, and then take off the masking tape and paint the cross part or the pattern. And then finally draw their animals that represent them and glue them on. And every time I've done this activity, the children have been so proud of their coats of arms. And it never fails to get lots of learning. Like, it's quite cross-curricular, really, because you've got the history and the DT and the PSHE out of that.
I was going to say, if you also then combine it with the hobby horses you were talking about yesterday, you got a brilliant class photo, haven't you?
You have. You've got a class full of knights galloping around slowly around the school halls.
You could even do some PE. You could do some jousting, couldn't you?
Do you know,
Yes.
I was going to suggest that for our PE session, the sort of no contact jousting
No
that we
contact.
sometimes run as part of our workshops. We'll come back to that after we have explored a little bit more history and geography. Which history subject did you touch on, Rob, for ages 7 to 11?
I personally am quite interested in castles and just old buildings in general, the way they were built, who built them, how they were built, and all of those different kind of elements. I think that as fantastic as history is, quite often the common person is overlooked. We hear about
Yes.
the wondrous tales of Sir Lancelot, but we don't hear about his groom or the
Yes.
person who had to polish his armour or scrape the mud off his horse's hooves. These people are overlooked, and this is because they weren't recording what they were doing.
No, I mean, I will just interject here and say that there are quite a few folk tales about that kind of character, and one of our missions here at Epic Tales is to show more of those kind of characters in our stories as well. But I think one of the reasons why this means that the Epic Tales that we produce are stories that people may have not heard of before, even though they are hundreds and hundreds of years old, is because the ones that really get picked up by the popular romance and fantastical traditions are the ones that involve characters just beyond the common folk, knights of chivalry, your princes, your kings, etc.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yes. So we're doing a great job, but more people need to listen.
And you're about to do an even better job by bringing out the bringing out the common in this story.
As a youngster, my family and I would quite often go to visit castles, and we were always given the challenge by Dad of looking for the toilets, the kitchens, and where the water would come from. Because these are the three things that you need wherever you are.
Yeah, and whoever you are.
Whoever you are as well, yeah. And it's kind of been ingrained into me. Whenever I go, like even now, I was on honeymoon and we went to a castle and I found a fireplace and I said to my wife, "Can you take a picture of me in the fireplace?" She's like, "Yeah, sure. Why?" But these link, as we were just saying, everyone in the castle. It's not just kings, queens, important people, but it's also the downstairs folk, if you like.
Yes, yeah.
So I kind of picked up on that as well because Sir Philadred prefers spending time with them.
Yes, that's true.
So to quote Jarvis Cocker, he kind of wanted to live like common people. So yeah,
just without the smells.
Yeah, without the smells. Yeah. So
he wanted the best of both worlds.
Yeah, again, that's another one of his characteristics that we could have picked up on, picking and choosing. But yeah, his appreciation for the common man as well, I think would alter the way I think that history is taught as well. We're doing Egypt at the moment, and it's about the person who's in the pyramid. The people who built the pyramids aren't necessarily mentioned, and their stories and what life was like for them. You might touch on it briefly, but even when you talk about the everyday lives of Egyptians, you go, "Oh, the priests did this, and the wealthy merchants had this." It's not the people at the bottom end of the ladder who get mentioned.
So how exactly would you run this as an activity with your young learners then? Would you be setting them exactly the same challenge that your dad used to set you and give them an historical place and say, right, so how did people get food, get rid of waste and get water?
Absolutely. Yeah. You could even, if you're doing kind of medieval or castles as a topic, you could quite easily go on a trip to a castle. That would be the best way to do it. You could also think about like designing a castle and say you need to make sure you have got access to food, running water, a way of creating heat. What are you going to build your castle from? Look at the different stages of castle development. So you've got moats, baileys, the keeps, and go all the way up to the defensive outposts that Henry VIII built on the south coast against the Spaniards. So you could going to visit a castle would be my recommendation. I know that's not possible for everyone, but there are lots of castles to explore around the country.
Certainly a lot in the UK, definitely.
Yes.
I love how cross-curricular this history is getting, because both of you brought some design and technology into it, but there's also quite a hefty dose of science in yours there, Rob, if you're thinking about, the basic necessities of survival, incorporating them within, the historical buildings and everything. But we were also told by you, Helen, that there's some geography that you found for ages 4 to 7. Is this going to involve a map by any chance?
Sort of. Yes. Yeah, it is. I thought there were 2 little links that you could explore. The first one is, a little tenuous, but I was thinking about it when I was thinking about nut trees for science. And I was sort of reading about, the different countries where various nuts are found. And so I thought a little activity on where in the world could this dragon be if he lives in a nut tree. So it is a bit of a tenuous link, but just a way to perhaps look at different continents and oceans and different countries within the continents. If you've got older children as well, look at where these different nut trees are, plot them on a world map, and then send your little dragon on a journey. Or I suppose you could send Sir Fullerdred on a journey to visit the different countries to see which nut tree his dragon lives in, crossing oceans and naming them as you go, of course. Yes, I just had as Rob said, that involves a world map, so that's a good start.
Yeah.
And then also I thought you could have a little look at your local area. An aspect of geography, I think, across the key stages really is learning about your local area and what features it has and how it changes. So I thought, again, I feel like we're linking a lot of our topics this week, which is good. I thought it's sort of a bit of a link to going on a dragon hunt that I talked about when we were talking about English, was to go for a dragon hunt in your local area. If as a teacher or whoever you might be, you're able to plant a dragon somewhere in your local area for the younger children, that would be great. I mean, I'm not sure about a real dragon because it won't stay where you put it, but some kind of dragon. And then go and look for that dragon.
Another opportunity to dress up a TA.
Or a fellow teacher, Rob. So yes, you've got your fellow teacher dressed up as a dragon lurking somewhere in the local area. And then use that as an opportunity to explore the local area. So our school happens to be in a village. So you map out the village together. I would suggest with the age range that I teach, you could explore it in 2 ways. You could either give the children a simplified map of the local area with all the features on and use that as you walk around to say, where are we? How do you know? Look at the features on the map. And or you could go on the exploration around your local area, taking photographs as you go, and then use those photographs to create a simple map of your local area. So yes, actually, my geography this week has involved a lot of maps, more than I think I realised.
It always does. That's always the way.
And then you plot where you found the dragon. So a bit of a X marks the spot. Then yes.
And of course, as you're going around, you are using expanded noun phrases to describe where you are and the path that you're travelling on, the way your senses are firing. So yeah.
And the dragon that you find lurking in the bush, eating nuts. Yes.
This is definitely a cross-curricular tale.
More so than usual. I like it.
That's sadly all we have time for in this episode, folks. If you'd like to talk to us about anything you've heard in this podcast, or if there's a subject you're soon to teach that you'd like us to cover, you can find us on social media using @TeachHappily, or leave us a review using your favourite podcast app. Please also share this podcast with your colleagues and help us start a story-led revolution in classrooms around the world, so children everywhere can learn in a way that's effective, memorable, and enjoyable all at the same time. Tomorrow, Sir Fullerdred and the U-Dragon will help us explore physical education and computing. But right now, it only remains for us to say cheerio, and we hope to hear your story soon. So, cheerio! And we hope to hear your story soon.